Okay, so I got a request to do an example from the work from yesterday, which is how do I know where to plot the circle? So where am I going to plot it? So we know that it's going to be a circle here because most of these that we're doing now in this section and the next section are going to be circles. So we know it's going to be a circle, and if you put it in your graphing calculator, you're going to get a circle. But how do you know where the circle is based on the interval? So this interval is telling you what values they want you to plot for t. So what they want you to choose for t. So if I'm making a table of values, I'm going to want to pick values of t to plug in to get my x and my y. My x and my y are going to be my coordinate points. So you ask yourself, okay, what values are you going to pick for t? Well, maybe I should pick these ones. Maybe I should pick between 0 and pi. This is going to turn out to be a full circle, but we don't want the full circle. We don't necessarily want the circle from 0 to pi, but we want t to be from 0 to pi. That's what we want. So the ones I'm going to pick for t would be 0, pi over 2, and pi, because these are the values that are in between 0 and pi. So if I pick the first one, 0, I'm going to plug in a 0 here, so I'll do 3 cosine of 0. The cosine of 0 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. So I'll get a 3 for x. Do the same thing for the y. So I'll do 3 times the sine of 0. The sine of 0 is 0. 0 times 3, 0. My first coordinate point is 3, 0. Next, let's choose pi over 2 for t. So now if I plug in pi over 2 for t, cosine of pi over 2 is 0. 0 times 3, 0. Same thing for y. Sine of pi over 2 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. So that's my second coordinate point. My last one I'm going to choose is pi. So let's do 3 cosine of pi. Cosine of pi is -1. -1 times 3 is -3. And then the last one, let's plug it in for y. Sine of pi is 0. 0 times 3 is 0. Okay, now let's graph it. Now here's the thing. I only chose these points, or not these points, but these values for t because that's what they told me in the directions. We could choose more values for t and we could complete the circle, but they're asking for only these values. So that's the reason I'm only picking these. You can go further and you'll get a full circle, but in this case we only want these values. We're not saying that we want a circle from 0 to pi. We're not saying that we want this. In this case it is going to be this, but not in all cases. But we're not saying we want this part of the circle. They're saying they want those values for t. So once you plug in those values for t and you get your coordinate points, we got 3, 0, 0, 3, and -3, 0. It turns out that it is a semicircle at the top. So that's how you know to only plot those points, because you can't go outside of this zone here. This is your interval you want to stay in.